Hey guys, in this video you will learn how to draw realistic looking fur with colored pencils. I first like to start using pan pastels. You can draw fur without using pan pastels of course, but I think they give a nice base and make the fur look more soft. I don't have the exact color to match the fur, but you can take the closest color you have, and since my color match isn't exact, I only apply a thin layer of the brown, and on top of the brown I sort of blend it out with a white color. You will see this more close up later in the video. I also want to mention that I paint with the pan pastels in the same direction as the fur is growing. Then you want to pick out some colored pencils that are close to the color of the fur that you are drawing. I started drawing the lighter shades, so to draw the fur you just want to make pencil strokes in the same direction that the fur in your reference photo is going. In the beginning here I will just show you the drawing from afar so you can see the different directions that the fur is going in and how I start drawing them with a lighter shade before I move on to the darker tones. For the actual fur I will zoom in and slow down the video in a second, don't worry. Here I'm just showing you some of the different colored pencils that I used for this drawing because I know people will ask. And here I'm showing you up close on the side paper how I draw the fur strokes on the actual drawing. You really want to look at the colors of your reference photo and pay attention to where the colors are warmer and where they are cooler. Every drawing we make will look different and have different colors, so when picking colors you just have to trust your own eyes and pick the closest color you can find among your pencils. You will also notice that some hairs will be shorter than others, so don't draw every single stroke of fur in the same length. I also like to tilt the pencil like this to draw more softer strokes. So basically you want to draw each pencil stroke in the same direction as the fur is going, and as I've told you in my videos on how to draw hair, you want to lift the pencil at the end of the pencil stroke to avoid harsh and blunt lines. So to create shadows, you want to go in with a slightly darker color and draw some hairs on top of it. I make sure to alternate between the different shades a lot as I find that it helps to give a more realistic result. The more variations in colors, the more realistic. Because if you zoom in on a photo, you will see pixels in all kinds of different colors, so when you make a drawing it makes sense that it's drawn with several different shades. I also use a dark brown and a tiny bit of black for some shadows. This rabbit didn't have any black or dark brown fur, but in a still picture the shadows are really that dark in some areas. I also like to switch back and forth between the areas that I work on, because when you draw one area then move on to the next, you see how the previous area looks in relation to the one you're drawing in now. So you may discover that something is missing and you want to go back. You can also use a lighter shade to highlight and blend in all the other colors with. Where the fur is white, I don't use an actual white pencil. I just make sure to not draw too much on the white parts, so I only draw some strokes towards the white part with the brown pencil. To give your drawing life and make it look as realistic as possible, I really want to stress the importance of switching between the different shades and just look at your reference photo and continuing to add more strokes. By adding more strokes, we also make the fur look more full. And don't be afraid to use a black pencil to draw shadows, even if the fur isn't actually black. Just make sure that you don't draw the strokes too harshly and that you don't draw them too much and too close together. You want to just draw them sparsely, a little bit here and there, you know, and yeah, that's it. Now that I'm beginning to draw in a new area, I do the same thing. I start with a lighter pencil and later on I will move on and add more shadows with darker pencils. But yeah, I would say that the most important thing is to draw the strokes in the same direction that the fur is going, just as I've mentioned before. And on the ear here, it's much darker inside of the ear than on the fur that is outside. So I draw some strokes with a black pencil towards the lighter parts, just as I explained when I drew brown strokes towards the white part to create white fur. This rabbit had white fur at the bottom of her body, so for this part I use a really light gray colored pencil, and if I want the shadows to be a bit darker, I just use a slightly darker gray shade. And I don't draw gray strokes exactly everywhere in the white part. It helps if you zoom in on the reference photo and look at in which areas you actually can see that there is some shadows. So since the fur is technically white, the shadows will look a bit gray in the picture. And as I've told you before, I draw with the black pencil towards the white from the shadow, so that it looks like feathery white fur, I suppose you can call it. Now we can move on to the back body, so I use the brown pan pastels again and apply it in the same direction as the fur is going, focusing mostly on where there are the most shadows. And then I add some white pan pastels to blend everything together and create a softer appearance. This part right here was very tricky. I used the same principle as before, drawing strokes towards the white part, but I accepted that it wouldn't look 100% like in the picture because it requires a lot of patience to make it 100% exact. I thought it could be helpful to include how I drew the whiskers, so I used a 0.3mm mechanical pencil and drew some light, long strokes and lifting the pencil at the end. I also added some shadows at the base of the whiskers. Then I continued using gray pencils for the white part here, drawing strokes towards the whitest parts. In the end, I just continued drawing the fur in the back here, and again really making sure to alternate between the different shades. And since this part was the darkest, I just kept on drawing on top of it to really build up the layers. I also used the lighter color to highlight some areas that were a little bit lighter and also to blend all of the other colors together, because lighter pencils tend to do that. And at the very end, you just want to adjust anywhere you feel like you need to add more shadows or color. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more art videos. And thank you so much for watching.